Lunchroom on RCI. Food for thought. The station that gives you, more lunch.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It's Tuesday, it's April the 9th, 2024, and this is program number 1160 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. Now, in addition to radio, that is on 101.1 FM, you can also get us at our website. It's rcistlucia.com, rcistlucia.com. You can follow us there live, and as well, you can download our previous shows if you've missed them. Now, as well, we are streaming on Facebook live. Just search for the official page of Radio Caribbean International, and please be sure to like and share that link as well with your friends and family. And when we open up the lines, if you'd like to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, this Tuesday, the number to do so is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. We are also reached on the WhatsApp platform, and you can call in to 724-0008. You can also message in your comments or questions as well on WhatsApp. Again, that number is 724-0008. Now, some birthday shout-outs to Dr. Gemma Cherry. Happy birthday to you, Gemma. And we hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Also to Mr. Anthony Jordan. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we do hope that you're having a wonderful birthday. And as well to Mr. Michelle Wilson. Happy birthday to you, sir. And we also hope that you're having a splendid birthday celebration. Some rather interesting, somewhat infamous individuals born on this day today. King Faisal of Saudi Arabia is one of them, one of the rulers of Saudi Arabia, and also Hugh Hefner, King Leopold II of Belgium, very infamous Belgian king who did some rather horrible things with the Congo, and as well engineer Isambert Brunel. Very early 19th century British engineer who built quite a number of tunnels. A bit of history for today. Well, in the year 1865, on this day, Confederate General Robert Lee and 26,765 troops surrendered at Appomattox courthouse to U.S. Lieutenant General Ulysses Grant, and that ended the Civil War in North Virginia. In the year 1869, the Hudson Bay Company ceded its territory to Canada. 1992, on this day, John Major was elected Prime Minister of the United Kingdom after his Conservative Party won the most votes in British electoral history. And in 2003, on this day, Baghdad fell to United States forces, ending the invasion of Iraq. And that, in fact, resulted in widespread looting. We now move to our dish of the day. The daily dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Jugosile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program here at the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. A very pleasant good afternoon to everybody out there listening. And it's quite unfortunate because just yesterday we were in fact speaking to the issue of violent crime here in St. Lucia. pointing out that despite a very lovely weekend by the standards of the weather, we unfortunately had some news of violent crime in our country. And I think that brought us to about 26 when we spoke yesterday in terms of the count. And unfortunately, it appears that we have to speak to another 2 homicides as of today. One in the community of Oleon in the Mabuya Valley, Dennery. Again, images finding us at our homes of that scene where we're literally seeing videos of the individual, unfortunately, still on the ground, and the shells still around the corpse, and very, very difficult scenes, no doubt, even for the individuals who seem to have been present at that location. And then today, again in the city of Castries, right along the fence of the George Charles Airport, the discovery of a corpse, where a body was found in a vehicle, which apparently had been there for a number of days, and the indication is that, in fact, after investigating the situation, we've been advised, in fact, that the individual appears to have been shot and stabbed, and certainly seems to have lost their life as a result of a clear intent by another human being. And of course, this would probably mean that our homicide count is now up to 28 for the year 2024. Yesterday we were speaking about homicides, and we were looking at what tends to be the rate that is used. As we mentioned, it's usually a per 100,000 comparison that is used around the world to compare homicides. But of course, we can also look at the raw figures, the actual count, by a means of comparison. And as I had indicated, of course, this is there's a very long list which is provided, and you can get that online, based on a study by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and providing that type of comparative data to get a sense of where we actually fall, so to speak, in terms of the matter of homicides. And interestingly enough, one of the things that struck me in looking at that list, when you look at the counts themselves, the actual numbers, there was it's usually they're looking at the year 2022, but we do know that last year, I think, and even the some years before that, we were talking about homicides in the region of the 70s, 74, and what have you. And it would be interesting, and I was just looking at it from the perspective of the actual counts. Well, how many countries are, in fact, have fewer murders, than St. Lucia? And within that list, I mean, you may think, of course, of, smaller countries, like obviously St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or the U.S. Virgin Islands and what have you. These smaller countries, Curacao, of course, those were expected. But there are a number of countries that have populations far in excess of ours, and it's very, very telling when we look at it from that perspective. A country that we quite often compare ourselves with, of course, is that of Singapore. And we have said that, we've got in terms of landmass, we're about the same size of Singapore, 238 square miles here in St. Lucia. They're a little larger now because of significant land reclamation that has gone on over there, but they're still about that range of in the 240s or thereabouts of square miles. But whereas we are speaking about looking at 70 homicides last year, or over that, I think, 74? Singapore is talking about 7. And of course, this is a country with a population well in excess of 5 million. In fact, has one of the lowest homicide rates in the world at about 0.1 per 100,000. But others, of course, are in that mix, and countries like Bosnia and Herzegovina, a country that had been ravaged by war, and of course we've heard about the all the issues of killings and issues between Slavs and individuals, or the Muslim population, as well as the Christian populations there, the Slavic populations, and significant conflicts. Of course, this was coming into our screens on a very regular basis. And in the year 2022, they had 35 homicides. So, in fact, they had fewer homicides than we have faced here in St. Lucia. And this is a country that has not too long ago was facing tremendous genocide, tremendous challenges. A country like Switzerland, of course, very wealthy alpine country, 43 homicides. Again, a much larger population in the millions. Senegal in Africa, a recorded 39 homicides. And again, we're talking about countries that their populations are recorded in the millions, right? And of course, Senegal quite recently just elected a new president, one of the youngest there, head of state. That country has a population of 18 million people, but in fact recorded fewer homicides than St. Lucia in the year 2022. Ireland, a European country, 44 homicides in the year 2022. Population of about nearly 5 million. Finland, also around that same size in terms of population. They recorded 67 homicides in the year 2022. But interestingly enough, one that certainly struck out for me was that of Palestine, where we are currently seeing a significant amount of loss of life due to the invasion of the Israeli Defense Forces and the siege that is going on in Gaza right now. And here you have a country that has a population of about 8-9 million or so, spread between Gaza and the West Bank, and yet still their homicide count for the year 2022 was 74. So it's just for a matter of perspective. When we think about it, and we don't have to be in this current situation of really elevated and very high numbers of killings. And these are countries, some of them which we mentioned in that list, for instance, have gone through significant war. They've gone through significant periods of killings, of tremendous horror. And so maybe they've learned from that. Maybe they've now appreciating and are seeing that, look, they can be peaceful places. And so just the same, I think we need to be able to believe that this is not the norm, that this need not be the norm, and that we can enjoy a peaceful country where we don't have to be thinking about the next homicide count coming up, or the next homicide being recorded, and it's on a very regular basis, that which we're seeing right now. In some countries, The truth be told, there are in fact almost no homicides at all. American Samoa, very interesting enough, 0 homicides for the year 2019. Djibouti, interestingly enough, on the African continent, 0 homicides. Nobody died in that country, for at least was not recorded via somebody else committing that kind of act. Even in countries like closer to home, Aruba, 2 homicides recorded over in Aruba. Well, that figure though is a little bit dated, coming from 2014, but certainly Iceland, for instance, 2 homicides for the year. Malta, 2 homicides. So, and of course, even within the Eastern Caribbean, places like Grenada, they are looking at about 5 homicides in the year 2021. Seychelles, a country in the Indian Ocean, which we share common heritage and similar histories, and they of course also speak Creole. They only recorded 5 homicides, giving them a rate of 4.7 per 100,000 in that country. So certainly this current state of affairs is not really going to be helpful for us. It is a pretty important indicator for us to say, hey, there are some significant issues that are underlying what is going on right now that certainly need significant intervention if we are in fact expecting to make a switch and a change. Now, of course, we've seen some success stories, and we like, for instance, in the case of El Salvador, that country is being pointed out as, hey, look at what they're doing there. And some people have argued that it's a bit extreme in some regards, in terms of how they have set up new prisons, and they've locking up people, and the issues of human rights and what have you. So there are, of course, some risks as well in going to the extreme. And so certainly trying to fit that balance, trying to find something in the middle that can, in fact, deal with this situation of rising crime is quite possible. So let us, in fact, begin by thinking that, hey, this does not need to be the state of affairs. This does not need to be the status quo right now here in St. Lucia. That's our dish of the day. When we come back, we will take in your calls.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. With all kind of tiles, come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Box, doors, you'll see. Come down to mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Grosile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. The number to call and tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And also the option of calling in to our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Let's go to the phone lines at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Good afternoon, Mr. George.
How are you doing, sir?
What I want to ask you, the word psychology, what because I know from the time I was a kid, they talk about psychology, and some people go and study psychology, because I have a niece, she studies psychology in Palmer's Green in the UK. Now, what is psychology?
Well,
Mr. George?
it's a science of the mind. It's studying how people think, how they behave, how they act. So it really is a study of human behavior and human thinking.
But in St. Lucia, I always look at the word psychology. Like some people say they're going and see a man, see a woman, and they will charge you because they take the word from your mouth and they dissect the word and they'll tell you this, that, and that, and that, and the other. And to me, psychology is somebody that's brainy and always think you're even brainy than anybody else. You there with me?
When you say see a woman or see a man, you're speaking of like a gade?
You know that probably. You know that. But St. Lucia have some kind of people they call gade.
Right. Well,
I heard that name, of course.
Yes, of course. And I don't think that gade is a psychologist, though.
Oh, okay, but that's that's where I place psychology.
Really?
Like gade.
Well, my understanding of gades is that
psychiatrists looking after people with mental trouble and things like that. But the one they call psychology.
Well, they are.
Now, the way I go in is like people like Biden. He's telling people all the time that Hamas, the Israeli going over the top, But yet still he bypassed Congress and giving Israel arms 2,000 pounds bomb. That bomb was made to boycott because they made that during South Korea and North Korea, and they use a lot of that in Korea. And they did ask to ban that bomb. They go and they use as much as that in Vietnam, and from Vietnam in Iraq and in Afghanistan. So America have those bombs there. You can't guide it, and they make to kill maximum people. Now, when Biden go on giving Israel those bombs, what do you expect they'll do with it? Is to let it go on the people, because how do you call? GI1, whatever they call it. It's in work already. The Israel army looking in all the flat and the Gaza Strip, and they're looking to see how many people, and if they see 20 people in one of those flats, and they suspect there's one Hamas, they'll let go those bombs. And that's it. So they have to kill maximum people because they use it to kill maximum people. And then Biden will come, it's psychology he using on the people. You see where I am going? It's psychology he using on the people.
Who's using psychology? Biden?
But behind closed doors is a different language they're talking. It's like Brownie never win the election, because when he was campaigning for election, when he think the phone wasn't on, it was still on, and he said those colored people, they're always there for they're always there for handout. He said they go to work, and they heard him over the air.
Sorry, who are you referring to?
Brownie. You can't remember when Brownie ran, I think it's against Obama, ain't he?
Obama, you speaking about Bush?
No, Obama ran against
no. He ran
that chap there. He died
out of McCain.
McCain, and then against Romney one time.
Oh, Romney, yes, Mitt Romney. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he's the one that did say something, and he didn't know the mic was on, and he said something about the colored people, like they always there for stamps and this, that, and the other, as if they are lazy lot. And then they take him. He could have never win the election again. So he had to come out of it. Although he's a man I like, I don't know, I like him, you know.
Well, many still do think that he's one of the fairly honorable individual from the Republican Party.
So
but
we've seen that word there. So how you look at it?
I think what I gather you talking about is a term that sometimes is used, reverse psychology, maybe, that you say one thing and then
I always look at psychology like a guy. Why I have it like that?
I'm not sure why you would think that there's any relation between psychology and because from my understanding of Gades, they are people who are supposed to see things, right? They see into the future, so they can predict things.
It's like you go to them, they'll ask you questions, and once you tell them the question, what's happening in your house and everything like that, they take the word you're telling them, they dissect it, and they send it back to you. You understand me? That's how they work.
Well,
and to me, some politician is like that, they work. Exactly like that. They take things and they listen to and they dissect it.
Well, we saw a lot of that, caller, of course, during some of these campaigns, and we're seeing how you are right. The use of psychology is influencing marketing and campaigns, and the rise of propaganda, targeted messaging. So they will create psychosocial profiles of individuals.
Anyway,
based on. Okay, thanks very much, caller. Sure, no problem. They will create profiles of the individuals who are actually watching, whatever you might, and this is why they use a lot of information coming from the internet, based on these cookies, the sites that you're going to, what pages you're looking at. They'll figure out what your interests are to build an image of the individual that they believe you can be based on these connections, and they will therefore target certain types of advertising and information towards you based on those profiles. But let's take another call at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom. What's on your plate today?
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, caller. How are you doing?
How are you, Mr. George?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing?
All right, thanks.
And what is on your plate today?
Is there any magic bullet, silver bullet rather, to curb crime?
I would.
What seem to think in us, you know.
It doesn't seem as if there are any silver bullets.
It seems that's what we're looking for.
Well, at this point, probably. At this point, I suspect a lot of us are looking for silver bullets, because I think when things get to an extreme, people want a rapid solution because of what they're facing, and quite often the reality is that it may very well have to get worse before it gets better. So,
but you see, the you know, I think solutions have to. There needs to be a rude awakening in St. Lucian's psyche. It's passing strange that you're talking about the mind there with your gentleman.
Yes.
You know, we have a real violent history.
Very much so.
You understand?
A caller was alluding to that just yesterday as well, that it is not passing strange that the Americas has one of in fact, the highest rate of homicides in the world.
You know, you see, we what we do, colleagues, we compare today's situation with probably when we were younger. And, you know, since we haven't had any war. War for to gain control over Saint Lucia.
Mm-hmm.
When the British finally took over, there maybe have been a relative era of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And colonialism in our, during, those of us who are old enough to know, we didn't have that kind of thing. We didn't coming into independence, and all of a sudden this thing coming on us, and we always, when we are young, we only the people used to live together. You have to bring back things how it used to be and all kind of thing. But we do not delve into what transpired before, which of course must be impacted, because this country has had a very, very, very violent past.
Mm-hmm.
How many countries have they fought so many wars, all right, to gain control of? Mr. George?
I don't know the exact figures on that one, but
Well,
I mean, I know we
I don't know if somebody could tell me any country they fought so many wars.
I mean, I guess it depends on the time frame that we're speaking of, but over the time frame, yes, that
over the time frame,
it was significant back and forth over
and imagine
occupation.
the amount of enmity this sort of thing creates over the years. You may begin the year as a British citizen or a colony of Britain and end it as a colony of France. You think you just make that transition, that's like a piece of cake. We were no pas anglais encore, no c'est français, and this thing comes with a lot of acrimony. People lose their jobs. People have to go undercover. People have to, if you serve the French, they are perceived as being traitors to, and a different set of people. And this thing, vice versa, been going on for years upon years, colleagues. The amount of bad blood and hatred that has been nurtured in this country, And I think we still cannot cope with that, my brother. We still cannot cope with that because I think, solutions have an element of mistrust among their own people. In other words, they trust outsiders more,
Mm.
You know that, eh?
Yes, it always appears that way.
Yeah. That's why when somebody speaks with a foreign accent, he always seems to have Lucian's attention more than somebody who speaks like a Lucian.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the reason why our educated elite cultivated sort of accents, British accents, or people who live in America, they speak like American. You know what I'm saying? They live in Jamaica, for 2 years they come back speaking like Jamaican. We don't trust each other. It's an element of what we don't trust each other. And to deal with the crime situation, there must be the element of trust. It must be ever present. Because if we don't even trust giving evidence to the cops, how could we break that cycle, Alex?
That's a very, very difficult one, indeed.
I'm not saying, I don't want to suggest that there are no answers, But I just want to, that the whole idea that, we'll just get a silver bullet and that will, take care of business for us. It's not going to happen. There's something endemic in this country and our people that we need. We really need to exercise, so to speak, before we, because that thing, it must have had a terrible impact. Not the way I see we live, especially now. I mean, and I don't think, like, comparatively speaking, You call some countries there with some much lower rates, and you wouldn't believe that these people have a lower rate of crime. You know?
Based on what's going on right now, like
Based
Palestine.
on what's going on in their country.
Yeah.
Than St. Lucia. So what is driving that? What is driving that? You know, that's what we really need to get under that. But quickly, Calix.
Yes, caller, go right ahead.
Yeah. On you got a call yesterday from, I think this lady, I think she's blind, and she was talking about the walk.
Yes, that's correct.
That's such a remarkable story, eh?
It is.
Very, very, I mean, really, really refreshing. You know, to see we still have that sort of character and strength in character in our people here to triumph over adversity. You know, I mean, imagine blind people walking that thing.
Well,
and that's quite a walk, you know, Calix.
It is quite a walk. In fact,
for normal people.
Yes,
like Alex, you laugh, eh?
Very much so, very much so. But in fact, there's a very interesting piece.
It really started in Roseau.
Yes, at the distillery. So
and it ended with on Point Seraphine.
At Point Seraphine, that's correct. Yes.
Man, that is
That's a very, very good distance to go.
Blind people walking that, and the gentleman, what's his name again?
Mr. Avril.
Yes. Walking that right through.
Yeah.
My goodness, man. I mean, you know, that shows us. These are the things. These are the little stories we must hold dear to us.
Definitely.
Show the resilience in our people, and you know, how we could triumph over adversity if we would just dig a little deeper, Calix. You know what I'm saying? And I was very, very, very impressed. And I want to thank the person who really brought out that story because, you know.
And the organizer, certainly.
You know, sometimes we have little things we could celebrate, you know, among ourselves. It's not always the big news, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
We have to celebrate these little things, or, you know, as a people, you know, and give courage to those who are challenged, you know, in different ways, you know, to overcome their adversities.
Yeah, there's a very interesting piece I'm going to share in a little while out of 60 Minutes, and it's about a blind musician, prodigy, really. This young boy, young African-American boy.
Well, you know about the great, what is his name? Mozart, one of them, that produced the best music.
He was deaf. Yes.
Deaf, eh?
Yes, he was deaf. Yes.
No?
Yes, definitely. So we're going to share that in just a bit as well.
Okay,
Thanks very much for your
brother.
contribution, caller. Thanks very much.
Thanks, yeah.
And we are due to take in our weather break, so we're going to do that at this time. And when we come back, we'll play that clip, as I mentioned, as well as to continue taking your calls.
Island style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style, whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style, oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style.
We have tiles and thin sets, mixes and ground. Everything you need is on the outside. For the best price and the latest style, take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality rice, service choice. It's all an Island Style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Bellarosa, Rodney Bay, on the John Crompton Highway, Cass Street, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. Or call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style. This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
It's now time for a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Tile and Bath. The forecast valid for St. Lucia for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from between the east, northeast, and east near 50 miles per hour or 24 kilometers per hour. The weather mainly fair. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, cloudy with light to moderate showers over the Leeward Islands. For the south, mostly fair with brief showers. And the weather summary, the Atlantic High Pressure System will maintain light to moderate easterly winds across the Eastern Caribbean region during the next few days. A frontal trough will cause cloudiness with showers over the Leeward Islands during the next 24 hours. For the south, relatively dry and stable atmosphere will persist. And this was a weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bell.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Island style, yeah. We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, yeah. We'll have to make the right choice. Island style. Whoa. We got the time that will make you happy. Island style. Oh yeah. We make your dream come alive in Island style.
We have tiles and thin sets, pieces and ground. Everything you need is on the house out. For the best price and the latest style, take a little drive down to Island Style Car.
We got the time to make you go. We got the time to make you say, quality price, service choice. It's all an Island style.
Visit us at our showrooms in Belarus, Rodney Bay, on the John Crompton Highway, Castry, and behind Ruby's Gas Station on the Library Viewfort Highway. So call us on 450-452 or 453-TILE. Island Style Tile and Bath. When you think tile, think Island Style.
And welcome back to our program here at Radio Caribbean International. It's the Lunchroom. And we've got about 10 minutes to go before the hour of 2 o'clock. The number to call in is 4523046. Again, 4523046. As well as our WhatsApp number, 724-0008. And our first caller, of course, was comparing psychology and I don't even know what to call it. What we call as gades, I suppose, or seers, and psychologists. So it's different, of course. I suppose some of it has to do with how things work, maybe in the mind, and that's the idea there. But there is, of course, psychology, which, of course, we just discussed is really a study of human thought and human behavior. And but there's also psychiatry, which is a medical discipline which generally will deal with mental health disorders and the use of medical treatment or medication for that purpose. And it's of course it's pretty close, and so sometimes there's a lot of confusion between the two, and then of course it gets even more confusing because you actually have what is known as clinical psychology, which is how you then again do some level of treatment of individuals who have psychological problems or disorders, and we are speaking about of course the situation of crime, and crime doesn't just start off, somebody just doesn't decide, wakes up and decide to be a criminal. There's usually some sort of antisocial behavior. There's something that is impacting them, and quite often it has a lot to do with psychology. And how people behave, and they may be going through depression, they may be faced with severe amounts of stress, and so these things tend to drive certain actions and outlooks of how people see themselves and what they will do sometimes to survive. Certainly, that leads to, potentially leading to crime. And so it is very important to have good levels of counseling and psychological support in dealing with mediation and dealing with treatment of people who end up becoming criminals. Getting to that point, it has to be part of that journey of what we may want to call correction, but even that word, of course, we have to be careful how we use it, I suppose. But that idea of changing around or transforming individuals' lives, so that is, of course, requires some level of psychological intervention. As of now, I'm not even too sure. I believe maybe just 2 psychologists perhaps available at the Bodley Correctional Facility. But we certainly should not be waiting even to that point when they're getting to, when they get to that point of actually having to go into such a facility. The level of support before that is where it is really, really critical. And the importance of counseling, the importance of social workers, and that the role of that Department of Human Services, as we know it here in St. Lucia, in helping and guiding and making interruption of potential paths leading towards a life of crime. That is certainly a really important gap in what we are engaged in. So that social side of that social dynamic is really a very critical one to be able to bridge when it comes to dealing with the matter of crime, and that takes time. We've been speaking about it. I remember a couple of years back, I think it was the Marilyn Flosack lecture that had been delivered by St. Lucian Dr. David Williams, a Harvard professor who had really studied the connections, the correlations of race and how race impacts on health outcomes. And he gave a very interesting lecture on the whole matter of early childhood intervention and that important period between 0 and 5 as being so formative and so deterministic for seeing that how people will in fact end up. He made that point that those are really where you have to make the most important, the biggest bang for your buck is within that period of time, and investing in early childhood development, and not just the concept of having preschools and daycare and making that available, but the overall development of infants and toddlers, infants, children at that age being so very critical, because and especially from a psychological perspective as well, behavior, a lot of this is developed during that very, very formative period, and so a lot of research has been done looking at that. So when we speak about interventions, and of course the caller before was making the point that it's not going to be a silver bullet. So we're talking about intervention for early childhood development. Now, you may not see the impact of, say, greater investment in early childhood development today. You may not see the impact of that for another 20 years, right? But it's needed. You need to do it now. If you really want to see the long-term shifts that we want to talk about, and of course it's not going to be a silver bullet, you still have to tie it to a lot of other consistent interventions and measures as a society. But you can see how these things could very easily get forgotten, and the importance of an idea of what is the kind of environment that we are raising our children in is very important. If we could design a society that is safe and good for children, and with them in mind, and senior citizens, right? We will more quickly approach a society that is going to be good for everyone. If we look at those extremes and ensure that we are making the appropriate adjustments to suit them. And so even the issue of, whether they have safe places to play. Do we have safe parks or beaches safe for them, and those activity areas? A lot of that, of course, is really important within that context of